So let's start with the first property, that is nuclear charge. So nuclear charge is the total charge of all the protons in the nucleus. It has the same value as the atomic number. All the nuclei, they are positively charged because they consist of positively charged protons, while the neutrons are electrically neutral. So the distribution of positive charge within the nucleus is almost uniform. Since the atom is electrically neutral, so it should carry equal amount of the positive and the negative charges. So number of proton is always equal to the number of electrons. Here I want to show you something. This is our atom. Within the atom we have this nucleus, and within the nucleus we have protons, and this dot I am denoting it by the neutron, and outside the nucleus we have the electrons revolving. Okay, so this is the atom. Within the atom we have the nucleus, positively charged nucleus. Nucleus consists of protons and the neutrons, and outside the nucleus we have the electrons revolving. So number of protons and number of electrons in an atom is always equal because atom is electrically neutral. So the charges of basic constituents of matters, protons, neutrons and electrons, they were calculated and their values are written here in the tabular form. This is the charge of the proton, that is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. Coulomb is the unit of the charge. Then neutron, as we all know that it is electrically neutral, so its value is 0 coulomb. Then charge on the electron, it is equal and opposite to the charge of the proton. So its value is minus 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 coulomb. Now, these are the different methods of the measurement of the nuclear charge. Nuclear charge can be measured by Moseley method, then Chadwick alpha scattering method, then Sarkan Wood distribution method and Fermi distribution methods. These methods, they have been explained well in the Jahan Singh book. Now we come to the second property, that is the nuclear size or nuclear radius. Now, if we assume the nucleus to be spherical in shape, having radius r, so we can say that the volume of the nucleus, that is directly proportional to the mass number of the nucleus. Volume is directly proportional to the mass number of the nucleus. How? I will tell you. This is this x is the nucleus, this is the number of protons, or it is also called atomic number. This is the number of the neutrons, and this is the total number of the nucleons within the nucleus, or we can say it as the mass number. Okay, so this z, these are the protons, this n, these are the neutrons. Since we are studying the nuclear physics, so we will talk in terms of the nuclear. So these are the nucleons, total number of the nucleons. Now, the distribution of protons and neutrons is nearly uniform, so density is almost constant. Since density, that is equal to mass upon volume, we are saying that density is constant. Okay, so here mass we will put A, mass, that is equal to A number of the nucleon. Okay, since A is constant, so volume is directly proportional to the mass number. So volume here is 4 by 3 pi r cube, so it is directly proportional to A. So this 4 by 3 pi, that is constant. So r is directly proportional to A is to power 1 by 3. And r is equal to some constant into a is to power 1 by 3, and this constant is taken to be r naught into a is to power 1 by 3. So this is the important relation to calculate the radius of the nucleus. R0 is constant and it is called the nuclear radius parameter. It depends on the kind of the experiment we are going to measure the nuclear shape. So its value calculated, it is of the order of 10 is to power minus 15 meter. R is equal to 10 is to power minus 15 meter, and that is equal to 1 Fermi. Now these are the different methods of measurement of the nuclear radius. Two different type of methods have been developed to measure nuclear radius. Electromagnetic methods and the nuclear methods. Electromagnetic methods, they are based on the study of interaction between the electric field of electrons and the nucleus. So these methods include muonic X-rays, scattering of fast electrons, Coulomb energy differences of mirror nuclei, and the isotopic shift measurement. Second, the nuclear methods, they are based upon the study of the range of the nuclear forces. So these methods include alpha scattering, neutron scattering, proton scattering, nuclear reactions, and the semi-empirical mass formula. Now we come to the third property, that is nuclear mass and abundance of the nuclides. As we all know that mass of the atom, it is equal to the mass of the nucleus plus mass of the various orbiting electrons. So mass of the nucleus is measured in AMU, that is atomic mass unit. From the Einstein mass energy distribution formula, E is equal to mc square. So 1 AMU, it is equal to mass of the proton and the neutron, they are equal. So here the mass is taken to be 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg into C 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, that is the speed of light. Square is taken. So when we calculate it, then we have this value which is equal to 931 mega electron volt. So 1 atomic mass unit, it comes out to be equal to 931 MeV. Now these are the masses of the basic constituents of the matter, that is protons, electrons and neutrons. In the first row, we have shown the rest mass of proton, neutron and the electron. Here, as you can see that the rest mass of the proton and the neutron, they are approximately same. They are of the order of 10 to the power minus 27 kg. So their masses are almost same. But the mass of the electron is 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg. Now, in the second row, the rest masses, they are expressed in AMU, that is atomic mass unit. Here the mass of the proton and the neutron, they are almost exactly same up to the 2-digit value, that is 1.007276, and for the case of neutron it is 1.008664, while the mass of the rest mass of the electron in AMU, it is quite less, that is 0.00055. And in the third row we have shown the rest mass energy in mega electron volt. So here also we can see that the rest mass energy of the proton and neutron is approximately same, while in case of electron it is quite less, that is 0.511 MeV. So here this third column, the lesser value of third column, they are due to the reason that one proton is approximately made up of 2000 electron, a bundle of electrons. So that's why its mass is quite less, either it is in kilogram or in AMU or in MeV. Now, these are the different methods of measurement of the nuclear masses. Mass spectrometer from the analysis of the nuclear reaction, then from the study of the alpha decay, and from the microwave spectroscopy. Now we come to the fourth property, that is nuclear density. As we know that mass of the nucleus, that is equal to the mass of A nucleons. So that is equal to AMU. Here A is meant for A number of nucleons. A number of nucleon, that is the combination of the neutrons and the protons. So it is equal to A into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg. As we know that nucleus is spherical in shape, so its volume is 4 by 3 pi r cube, 4 by 3. Here r cube is taken from the previous relation as we have derived that R is equal to R naught into A is to power 1 by 3. So R cube, that is equal to R naught cube into A. So when we calculate the nuclear density, then density comes out to be equal to mass upon volume. So when we make this whole calculation, then we get the nuclear density of the order of 10 is to power 17 kilogram per meter cube. So this is our nuclear density value, and it is quite high. So nuclear density has very high value, and it is, as you can see, that it is independent of the mass number. It is independent of the number of the nucleons. So we can say that all the nuclei have almost the same density. Such extraordinary high densities, they are not seen in our everyday observations, but such values, they are possible in nature. For example, neutron stars, they possess such high densities. So we can say that density distribution is not same throughout the given nucleus, but it varies, but its value is constant. It is maximum in the center of the nucleus, and its value falls off as we move towards the boundaries of the nucleus. So thank you. In the next session, we will study about nuclear binding energy and nuclear angular momentum. Thank you.